Cool. Here's my recording. Because
Yeah,
I
you're
was saying,
recording.
yeah, thank you. Well, no, that's the autopilot. Let's see. I think I'm recording now. Um, yeah, so before we got on and started chatting with all of you and recording, we were talking about how there's a nice balance because Hollis is a really creative person and she's got all these ideas about shaking your ideas loose and playing with your ideas. And I think I'm more of a linear thinker, so I can often get an idea and start outlining it, but not everyone can do that. You can't always go from idea to outline. And so I think there's this kind of middle ground, and one way to do it is mind mapping, which is what I'm going to show you. But I think of it as a bridge for your brain. It's like, okay, I've got all these ideas, all this stuff floating around. Let me dump it all out and kind of start organizing it in some way. But if you're at the point where you're just like, oh, what I first need to do is get my ideas going, I'm like, my muscle is a little bit weak. I call it a muscle, right? I haven't really exercised this muscle in a while of writing, maybe. Um, or you're feeling stuck around a particular idea, it can be really helpful to do some exercises to just kind of, like I said, shake those ideas loose. And writing, we want to suggest is play. It can be playful. It doesn't have to be you alone in your office pounding away at the keyboard and erasing everything you wrote for the day. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be collaborative. It can be fun. It can be expressive. So those are the things that we really want to share today. So yeah, welcome in if you're just joining us. If you want to pop in the chat, Hollis had great questions. Where are you zooming in from? And when's the last time you did a cartwheel? It's a really fun question. I've been enjoying the responses to that. So for those of you who don't know me, I just haven't introduced myself. I'm Emily Crookston. My company is called The Pocket PhD, and I'm a ghostwriter. And Hollis and I met because I know that Hollis has a publishing company, and she helps authors kind of find their creativity, and she does some collaborative book writing projects, which I think are very cool. And so we decided to do a little collaboration and kind of share our approaches to finding your book idea. So that's what we're going to talk about today, nailing down your book idea. And Hollis, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, ladies. So my name is Hollis Citron, and I call myself a creativity doula. I help guide people to birth their stories into the world and whatever that looks like. And one of the ways is through publishing and multi-author and solo books, like Emily said. So before we jump in, I'm wondering and just want to clarify, we've planned this for 45 minutes, but can people stay till the top of the hour if possible? Yeah. Okay. So this is a very interactive space. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a hands-on with you, and then we're going to do a writing. Now we asked you to bring something to taste or to smell. And with that, we're only going to do one, I think, at this point. If we have more time, we'll do another one at the end. What I'm going to do on my end is show some slides, give you a little bit of framework, and then we're going to do some writing for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do a share out. And then Emily's going to jump in with her mind mapping. The goal for today, like she said, is really just to kind of play and to get some ideas maybe out of your head that you maybe didn't know before, that you'll be like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Or this is something that I do want to explore, but I want to dive deeper into. So has anybody ever heard of ekphrastic writing before? Anybody? If you so, raise your hand. We can also use the reaction buttons to do things. Okay, good. So this is completely new. So basically what it is, and I'm going to pull up some slides, is it's writing with your senses. So it's a tool. What I'm showing you is a tool. There are many tools that can be done. There are brain dumps. You could walk around, you could voice record yourself. You could do all of these things that kind of try and get out of your own way. But this particular tool is called ekphrastic writing, and it's a colorful and descriptive writing. So before we even get started, I just want to do like a little breathe here. We'll kind of ground and get like 3 breaths in. And I always forget to turn on the volume when I do this. So I'm going to make sure to do this. There we go. Thank you. So this should be 3 times where we're just kind of breathing in and out to get grounded in the moment. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. actually. I think it's 5 times. One more time. As we know as adults, but sometimes, excuse me, may forget that breathing, we all do it obviously, but deep breaths help us get grounded in the space and clear our minds when we're feeling that stressed out space. So what is ekphrastic writing? It's describing a thing with vivid detail using our senses. And sometimes it is using descriptive words, and it is kind of painting a picture with your pen, your pencil, your computer, whatever it is. You're painting a picture, kind of maybe even without saying exactly what it is, to then say what it is. You're giving people that idea of giving them some imagination. So the goal of this form is to make the reader envision the thing described as if it were physically present. Simply, it's a conversation between the object and the word. So that may sound complicated. So here's an example. The town does not exist, except where one black-haired tree slips. Up like a drowned woman into the hot sky, the town is silent. The night boils with 11 stars. Oh, starry night, this is how I want to die. It moves. They're all alive. Even the moon bulges in its orange irons to push children like a god from its eye. The old unseen serpent swallows up the stars. Oh, starry night, this is how I want to die. Into that rushing beast of the night, sucked up by the great dragon to split from my life with no flag, no belly, no cry. So that's something that can be utilized also is visual art. And if you're like, Hollis, I can't write like that. I haven't written anything before. I'm not asking you to do that. What I'm just asking you to do is understand that description is it's a tool. And it's a way just to kind of, it's just an example. This is an example from one of my students. I gave 2 minutes to write and she tasted peppermint gum and this is what she came up with. A burst of flavor, chewing with abandon of childhood, not yet the tense jaw of adulthood. I was like, damn, that's powerful. Like, that is really, really good. So I do have up here some examples of descriptive words. You know what? I think I'm actually just going to kind of stop the share at this point. So what I want you to do is, in this first part, I want you to, and you're not going to tell us what it is, I want you to pick either your taste or your smell. I am going to give you 5 minutes, and you're just going to write. Do not judge yourself. Get out of this space and try and get into this space. Nobody's judging you. You don't have to read it. I am going to ask people to share if they'd like, but you don't have to share. I'm not asking you to do this. And regardless, it's a safe space. Nobody here is judging anything that you're saying. And in fact, I know for a fact, I know I've seen this enough times, you're going to be shocked at what comes out of you. If you need to listen to music, listen to music. I'm not going to put anything on. Use whatever inspires you. But the one inspiration is going to be either the taste or the smell that's going to be the jumping off point. So do you have any questions for me? Okay. How many people are starting with their taste? Okay. So mostly everybody. And then, okay. So use whatever you want. Grab your writing tool and paper, and I am going to start the timer and set it for 5 minutes, and let's just see what flows out. And
so we don't name what we are talking about. We just describe it. Okay.
Just describe it. Yeah. Maybe how it makes you feel and what it looks like. And yeah, then we can actually play a little game and see if we can guess what it is, if anybody wants to do that. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Irina. Okay, I'm gonna set the timer and go. And actually taste it. We have a little less than 2 minutes. If you feel like you've written enough and it's spoken enough through you, that's fine. You don't have to drag it out. And you can just let me know if you're done by giving me like a thumbs up. About a minute left. Again, not in your head. Let it flow, even if it sounds silly, ridiculous. That's where the best stuff comes from. About 10 seconds. Okay. Put your writing utensil down. I would love to hear from, give me a thumbs up in general as a group. Did you surprise yourself at all with what came out? If you did, give a thumbs up. Okay. Are there others that were like, didn't really do much? It's okay, doesn't hurt my feelings. Give a thumbs up if that was the case. It was like, I don't know. Okay, so good. I'm glad that that was helpful. In the time that we have, how about, is there any two people? Are there two people that would like to share out what they wrote and either try and have us guess or tell us what it is and just kind of what flow? And if you would like to share, thank you. Okay, great. Georgette and Yo. Georgette first.
Okay, I see if you can guess, I think. Okay. Each time I nibble into this circle of energy, I experience a different sensation. Sometimes it's cool and refreshing and satisfying. Other times it's sweet and wholesome. From time to time, it can be sour and tangy in the slightest amount. It's always clean and good for me and ignites a sense of wellness and clarity within my body. This little magic circle is mighty sunshine.
Mandarin.
Orange.
My
Or
guess was an
lemon.
orange as well.
Close.
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 Grapefruit.
A lemon.
Lemon. I said orange or lemon. I said that's orange or lemon.
Sorry, there you go. Yes.
So let me start with saying, and then we're going to go to you. How many people consider themselves a writer here? If you do, give a thumbs up. Okay, so not everybody, which is great. You don't have to be. This is the whole, everybody has a story to share. So it's this idea of how to do that. So Georgette, incredible descriptive words. Thank you for that. Okay, Yo.
Okay, we're going to try to guess.
Okay.
Crunchy, colorful, tangy, and sweet. Sounds like words I would use to describe me. All together first, a lot of flavor. One by one, time to savor. Orange reminds me of home. Green reminds me of time spent outdoors. Purple tastes like fun. Pink tastes like sugar, a kiss from my grandson. Yellow tastes like curiosity. And then you said, put my pen down.
M&M's?
Starburst?
What was it?
Starburst?
No.
No.
It is a candy though.
Skittles.
No.
Nerds.
The rainbow nerds. I had them from munching last night and I was like, ain't got much to I'm tasting this or chai tea. And the chai tea wasn't working with the stomach anyway, so I went with the nerds.
Love it. Oh my gosh. See how that created this story? So where you brought yourself into it, it was the taste, it was memories, it's your story. It's something as simple as that helps you get out of your, step out of yourself, step out of your brain in order to bring you into a place that you didn't expect. So it's just an exercise. Okay. Yay, give yourself a hand. Yay.
Thanks, Hollis. Yeah, pat yourself on your back. That's good.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah, this is cool. So what it's coming up for me, what I'm thinking about is this is, for me, I see this kind of as an experiment. So suppose so I work on nonfiction books. I write business books for people. Has nothing to do with writing a description of my tea or writing a description of nerds. But if I feel stuck if I'm having some writer's block, I could see using this exercise to like snap me out of it, to kind of shake my brain loose. So that's what I really like about this. It's like if you're feeling stuck on the current project that you're working on, try going to something totally different. It's totally outside of that thing. I think sometimes we think, well, you know, if this blog post isn't getting written very well, maybe I'll write a different blog post, or I'll go to my email and write something. But what if you thought about doing something totally outside of your discipline, or totally outside of the kind of project you're mainly focused on? So, you know, we're here to help you nail down your book idea today. And you might be like, why did we start with this? And that's the idea, because I think there are a lot of different avenues for creativity and a lot of different ways into starting to think about your business book. So let me share my screen and we'll do a little bit of mind mapping, and I'll show you what I mean by this being kind of a bridge for your brain. So we could think of mind mapping as actually a bridge from the kind of creative writing we were just doing, or sensory writing we were just doing, to getting to that, nail down that idea, or nail down our book outline, something like that. So that's how I think of mind mapping. I think of it as a bridge for your brain. And you're probably familiar with mind mapping. You don't need to try to read all of these words. It's a lot. I'm just trying to give you some visuals. So this is one type of mind map you may have seen before. This one, it kind of centers around a particular topic, and then it kind of breaks that topic down a little bit, you know, into sort of smaller, maybe objectives or topics, you know, subtopics. And then it has bullet points under each of the subtopics. And in some points it asks questions. So this is, you know, one way you might start outlining a book idea, or start mind mapping rather, a book idea. And from this, you can definitely see how you can get to an outline. So the topic of the book is poverty, and then maybe you have a chapter on education, a chapter on time frame, a chapter on location, right? And then within that, you have different sections. Here's another type of mind map. If you love digital tools, I'm like an analog girl in a digital world, so I prefer to do everything with pen, paper, and sticky notes. But if you like something digital, there's a lot of good tools. There's Miro, M-I-R-O, is a nice mind mapping tool to use. Mural is another good one. Canva has a mind mapping section to it now. So you could play around with some digital tools if that feels good to you, if you like that kind of thing. I tend to get wrapped up in my head about, ooh, how do I make this arrow look like this? And how do I make, what color should it be? And I tend to get a little wrapped up in that sometimes when I'm using digital tools, and it can frustrate me. Today, when we do some mind mapping, I recommend not trying a new tool. So if you want to try some digital tools and you've never done it before, feel free to do that afterwards, and you can kind of revisit this exercise later. So today I want you to use something a tool you're really comfortable with, just so that you can get the feel for the mind mapping. And here's another beautiful mind map. Kind of reminds me of, you know, those, what you see in detective shows and on TV with murders they're trying to solve. But you can see the strings connecting to sticky notes. It's a really fun and colorful. You could have colors relate to each other. So, you know, everything under one concept would be one color of sticky notes. That can be a fun way to organize ideas. So again, you know, we're trying to go from this like brain dump pile of ideas to some kind of organization, some way of connecting the dots and seeing clearly like the way to, you know, the thread that you're trying to run through your whole book. And then from there, it's really, I think, a lot easier to go into outline mode, because now you can imagine taking all the pink sticky notes off and putting those on your paper, like, or writing them out or whatever, taking all the blue ones, all the yellow ones, right, and kind of grouping things. So that's the idea of mind mapping. I recommend doing 3 to 5 mind mapping sessions to come up with your book idea. We're just going to do kind of a short piece of a mind mapping session today, just to give you, like I said, a little taste of it. Any questions about mind mapping before I share the steps? And feel free to come off of mute if you have a question. I don't mind being interrupted, and I can't see the chat when I'm when I'm doing the screen share. So 3 steps. So I have a book coming out in October. It's October 1st, and it's about how to write a business book. Thank you, thank you. And in that book, I talk a bit about mind mapping, and there I give you 7 steps to do a mind map. So that's a more sort of iterative process. It's a longer term process. It involves taking breaks and things like that. Today, we're just going to do like the first 3 steps or so. So the first step is rapid ideation. And I do recommend doing these steps kind of separately, because if you try rapid ideation while you're also thinking about grouping your ideas, that can make you get stuck. So the first step is rapid ideation, which is really, you can think of it as a brain dump. Just want you to dump ideas. So that could mean, I really love to use note cards, for example. If you have a pack of note cards and just start writing one idea on each card, because then it makes it really easy to move ideas around. If any of you are familiar with Notion, Notion might be a really good place to do some rapid ideation, because it does have a feature where you can move things around in a way that's kind of nice. So speaking of another digital tool you might want to use. On a notebook, you could just write ideas, and you can write them in any order, anywhere on the page you want. You don't have to stick like line by line. I do encourage you to kind of get outside of linear thinking as much as possible here. So the first step is rapid ideation. In a second, we'll do that for about 5 minutes so you can get the ideas out. And then step 2 is grouping like ideas. So with the note cards, again, it's really easy. You just move them around. You put them in stacks, or you put them in groups. If you're using a notebook and you've got a bunch of ideas down on the page, you may want to start a new page when you start grouping things and just rewrite everything. That's what I would do. I take those scattered ideas and then start organizing them on a new page. If you're using sticky notes, same thing. You can move them around, whatever you want. I really like to do like a big butcher block piece of paper where I can use markers and really sketch out the whole thing. And I've got tons of space, because space can stop me in my tracks. If I run out of space on the page, I'm like, oh, I'm stuck. And then the last step is taking out the trash. So once you start grouping things, you'll start to notice, oh, this concept doesn't really fit. This is actually a different book, or this is something that belongs somewhere else. And so that's step 3. But we'll take 5 minutes just to do step 1. We're just going to start with rapid ideation. I'll set my timer. And if you came to this call with a book idea in mind, I want you to do rapid ideation on that idea. If you have several different book ideas, maybe play with them. Maybe write them up, write down all your book ideas, and then say, which one speaks to me? Which one do I want to play with today? And then just start ideating. So that's going to be step 1. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute just so I can see folks' faces. Any questions about anything before we do some rapid ideation? Awesome. Okay, we're going to do 5 minutes. And good luck. Got 1 minute. Keep going. That's time. So the next step is grouping things. Now, if you feel like you've still got more in the tank and you want to keep writing, keep ideating, that's perfectly fine. If you feel you're ready to move on to grouping things, you can start doing that. And you can do that again in any number of ways. You can circle things, you can draw lines, you can move things around if you're using note cards or sticky notes. Right? However, it feels good to start grouping things together. And that might be like, oh, this topic is bigger than these other topics. So these topics kind of fit under that. But just see if you start seeing some patterns. So let's try to do another, let's make this one a little bit shorter. We'll do 2 minutes for this. So go ahead and start doing some grouping. Thirty seconds. All right. Great. So I'm sure you're recognizing that this is not nearly enough time for this kind of exercise, and it's really just the tip of the iceberg that we're trying to show you. Again, I like to do 3 to 5 of these kinds of sessions where I'm going through and iterating on this. The third step is taking out the trash. So if you noticed any ideas that just didn't seem to fit in the groups that you've created, you might want to set those aside, at least for the moment, to see, maybe they belong in a different project or something like that. Anybody want to share or have any questions about this? How did it feel? Did you feel like you were getting anywhere? I'd also love to hear the connection between doing the ekphrastic writing first and if that helped kind of open the portal, as Hollis likes to say, opening the portal to those ideas. I felt like doing that little exercise kind of warmed me up and exercised that muscle so then I could think in a more linear fashion or in a more clear way about my book idea.
So I thought it was a lot of fun. I like bringing in the fun and play into the writing because usually my method of writing is I sit in front of my computer and I just go,
Right.
and then afterwards I go back and I edit and all that kind of stuff. So I really like going back to like the roots of writing, which is what I used to do back in the day, just more
Yeah.
creative and doing the mind mapping and that exercise with like the taste and all that kind of stuff. It's bringing more joy to the process instead of it being like a daunting process. And it's like, oh, I have a deadline, I have to get this done. And then, so I'm really enjoying this.
Amazing. It's just what we hope.
I was just going to say, I ended up remembering that I have like a sticky note function on my computer and I have a second screen. So I created all sticky notes and now I can go back and kind of color code them and put them into their groups because I like the physical sticky notes too. I like to mind map that way, but sometimes I don't always have the space to do it. Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, this was just kind of taking all of those topics and seeing how maybe they can color code them and fit them together.
Yes. Awesome. I like that. Yeah, that's another good point. You can do digital stickies too. It's another good digital tool to use. Yeah, I forgot that I used to do that too a lot more than I do now. But, there's so many other options, I guess. You have your hand up?
I do have my hand up. Okay, full transparency. I came here to support Hollis. Irina just happened to be in our lobby, and I was like, "Where you going?" She's trying to figure out how to get here, and so I was like, "Well, shit, I'll go come and support Hollis."
Great.
And in addition to that, I'm not a writer, even though I know I am good at it. I know that I can throw some shit together and very creative and all that kind of stuff. I've been told all my adult life I should write a book. I'm like, I ain't writing no damn book. I don't write no book. I don't do that stuff. So with that being said, I kind of missed that second half of what the ideation was. And so I kind of was playing with the type of book I would like to write.
Okay.
More than I was topics.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the exercise with the nerves helped me because it helped me. Like, I do want to write something about me and about my life and what I've been doing. And so I put down memoir. I think that's the right word at first, a little short story, thing. And then I had this idea I've been sitting on forever. And I want to write an interactive book. Like, I want a book that is like combined with print and technology. Like, I want to be able to have like you can click on the link and go to the video of me going to the silent disco for the first time. And then I have a section for them to read a little bit of my like a prompt to reflect on and talk about. But I don't know if that's just what that is or what that would do, but you got me thinking, basically.
Right.
So you got my brain going like, I could write a book, right?
I love that. That's great. That's perfect. I'm so glad. Yeah, because a lot of people would hear that and be like, "Oh, I don't have a book idea. I guess I'll sit here for 5 minutes." Right? And you didn't do that, and that's perfect.
No. I have to respond to that because first, thanks for wanting to support, but second, we're so going to talk because that's everything that I do, and a new venue I'm moving into is bringing books to life through art immersion. So
I know, I remember you doing that, but I want to do like a print and electronic thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. That's great. So we're at about 1:45. We're happy again to entertain questions. We do want to give you a plug. Most of you are signed up for the next one, the next workshop, which is July 25th at noon, same time, same place, noon Eastern. And we're going to talk about publishing and promoting. So once you start working on your book, you might start to turn your ideas or turn your thoughts to what happens after this book is finished. So that's going to be what we tackle the next time around. And yeah, I would love to hang out and chat with people. Hollis, if we want to do play with some smells, we could certainly do that. Yeah, what do people want to do? How are you feeling? Do you feel like you've nailed down your book idea or gotten started at least? Hey.
Yeah. You tell us. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I just like the mind mapping framework. It was really helpful.
Good.
And now Linda and I are fired up that we're like texting. She can't be on screen, but we're like, we can do this. I think we can do this now. Like, let's schedule time to do this after we meet on the 25th with you all.
Hey, oh
Yeah.
yeah, she just left a chat there. Yeah, Judy and Linda are working together on a book. So I'm
Yeah, and
excited.
I liked, Hollis, that you said this collaborative approach that you have in co-authoring. We do a lot of writing together, so we know how we write together, and we're just like, we're not like going to be doing videos on TikTok. Like that's not our thing to get our message out. We don't do, so we're like, let's stick to what we know we can do well. And so we just, having these sessions, calendared in from a few weeks ago really helps us like just push it forward, because it is really big. It can feel really big with everything that you're doing in the day to day, but it's exciting. It's like big, exciting, and having the tools to kind of hone in and focus is really helpful.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Judy, and it's for Linda too. I want to say something, and then I want you to answer. So it's going to be, I want to know what you're writing about. But,
Okay.
and I'd like to know other people's topics, but I want to go back to what Yul said about I am not a writer. This is something that I am everything about, which is in my company be called I Am Creative. Everybody has creativity within them. And as cheesy as that may sound, it's truth. Creativity is creation. You create things all the time. Things didn't exist and now they do. How do you wear your hair? What kind of clothes do you put on? What did you eat? How do you scope conversations? How do you a conversation is a creative act. You sit there and you're like, how are you? Good. Like, oh, okay. You know that until you're like, okay, I'm gonna move on. But then there's that, I see it as a sculpture. Like it really is the creation of the dialogue back and forth. So in taking out we fall into labels. We fall into these, we've been pigeonholed into spaces. Well, you're going to be the scientist, and you're going to be the business person, and you're going to be the architect, because that's what you show strengths in. Well, what if you just like doing it? And it's not your job. And maybe you're not making a book that you want everybody to see, but you're doing it for you. Mm-hmm. So everybody has the ability. So I just wanted to stress that. So what is your book? What is your topic, Judy and Linda?
Well, this is evolving, because we're all about evolution. So I think Linda would be okay with me saying it out loud, but because it is so much of like what we do for our business. So we co-founded a company in 2019 called Evolve Me, and we're a career growth company for women, primarily women in midlife who are in career transition. So pivoting careers, returning to the workforce after some kind of caregiving break. Also, women emerging from a personal transition like a divorce or a health crisis, helping them have the kind of, regain the confidence that they need to go forward and help them create new direction and then refresh their professional toolkit. And we also work with companies helping women who are employed love the jobs they have even more. So the reason the book was kind of like neither here nor there was because we were building out our kind of professional services work with companies, and we felt like the book had to either appeal to individual women who work with us in our cohorts, or women who were employed and on the corporate side, so either B2B or B2C. And then we came up with this idea, piloting a workshop a few weeks ago that was received really well, that could appeal to both sides of our work. And it's more about career evolution and looking at the career kind of opportunities and also disruptors across the different stages of a woman's career. So not specific, because we also don't specifically work with women in midlife in the companies. We work with all, and sometimes we work with men too. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah,
it's
I
really
can't wait to read
excited
it.
to see yeah.
Yeah, and doing the mind map showed me that when I was writing everything down, I was kind of tagging it for what phase of life, different challenges women have where it shows up. And I was like, oh, like so many of these challenges can show up across all different phases of your life. Like if your partner is, you know, gets laid off, or you have to move, or like that could be any. So while there are, I think, distinct challenges like in midlife and the other stages, there's also ones that are common throughout. And how do you, you know, cope with that and have the resilience to bounce back and bounce forward and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now, saying it out loud is also kind of strange because that's the, like, we haven't really said it out loud at all. And I hope I'm allowed to say it out loud but I think I am.
Yes, yes. This is a safe space.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like, you know, what to prove.
Yeah. Whether Linda thinks you should say
yeah. No, it's fine. It's really what we've been doing. We want to make our messages like, I don't know how much, I mean, I'm sure you talk in your book, Emily, and other workshops that you do, like thinking about the purpose, like the why that we're writing the book, right? And so I think one of the reasons is to get what we've been doing out to a wider audience and just kind of like, you know, because we think it will be helpful, and like doing, you know, just getting our message out on LinkedIn and social media only goes so far, especially these days. So
that's right.
Yep. And having a platform for speaking and things like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. Love it. Awesome. Anybody else want to share how they felt about the mind mapping? Anything that came up? Questions?
I'll go.
Oh yeah, Jill.
I thought it was really helpful. Like I had this idea that I was kicking around for a book, and I just got a lot more stuff on the page.
Yeah.
I had an early draft of Emily's book, so I know it helped me write my last book a ton, and services. But I haven't really used your tools this early on in the stage. And I just, there's a lot more work to do, but I feel like it helps me figure out like what directions I need to go in. And I think also that doing the creativity thing first before the mind mapping was cool. The creativity thing, I was like, how is this going to relate? And then I was like, oh.
That's great. Yeah, that's good feedback. Like I said, this is kind of an experiment for me too, to see how it helps. I don't do this kind of I don't do expressive writing on my own. I don't do sensory writing, but I think I'm going to start doing more of that. So good. Awesome.
So funny. Thank you for sharing that, Jill. And yeah, for Emily and I, this is our first time doing this together.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, it's all an experiment, and it's being willing to do that. Being willing to say, okay. And even before we jumped on, she's like, even though we talked about this, she's like, just to be clear, how is this all going to relate? Like, what's the purpose? And it's a tool. It's like, even if some people, I'm a fan of car yelling. I don't know about you. Anybody do any car screaming or yelling? Will you admit to it?
Crying, more crying.
More crying.
It can go in different ways. So maybe you're listening to a song and you're just screaming it. Like you're just like singing full blast.
Totally.
That's one example. Another one is you're just so frustrated and you're like, oh my God, I had this idea. And then I'm like in the car and I'm just like, okay, it's about creativity. It's about da-da-da. And I record myself at times because that's where the best stuff comes out. It's like word vomit. So it's like, it's just coming out. But sometimes in places of frustration where I'm sick of myself because I'm just like up here too much and not actually flowing. I'm like, Hollis, and excuse my language because I tend to be a cursor at times. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on, get over yourself. Stop. You're getting in your own way. Da-da-da. And, you know, at times it's funny because my daughter and I do stuff like this. In the summer times, it's different when the windows are down. So then you get a little bit more hesitant about who's next to you. Like, but like, it doesn't matter. This is for you. It's just an outlet.
Totally.
Then afterwards, your body's like, huh.
Right.
I actually just got an idea.
Cool. Oh. Amazing. Well, thanks all for being here. It's been so fun. We hope we see you on the 25th. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I am doing a in-person writing retreat about an hour outside of Charlotte in the fall. So if anybody is curious about that, I'm happy to share the link. And yeah, it'll be at the end of October. So if you're curious about that, let me know. Great to see everybody. Great to meet you if I had never met you before. And yeah, thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Perfect.
You're awesome. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.